on Thursday, July 6th, which is a little different for us, but here we are. Seeing there is nobody not seated at the table, I'm guessing we have no public comment tonight. So we will move on to approval of the minutes from April 3rd. Oh, first we will take the roll, as Brandon just reminded me. Would you please call the roll?
Yeah, I should maybe put that on the agenda going forward. I keep forgetting.
Since I can't remember, yeah.
Put on agenda. Here we go. Okay, Margie Davy,
Here?
Lisa Marone,
Here.
Ken Osmond, Megan LaFond,
Here.
Lakeisha, and I forget, is it Haas or Hayes?
Hayes.
Hayes?
Here.
Thank you. Vic Oliver, and Brad Spanbauer.
Here.
Whoever ready. 5.
We have quorum.
Yes.
Okay, then we will do the approval of the minutes from the April 3rd meeting. Does anybody like to make a motion?
Motion to approve April 3rd meeting minutes.
Second? Second. Okay, all that were at that meeting and in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed to accepting those minutes? Okay, moving on. Sustainability Advisory Board member update. There's,
Can I just go back to the minutes quick? So that
yes,
that would have been you two were at the April meeting. Were you were not at the April meeting?
Well, he was, but he was public.
Was public.
No, April meeting.
no, April meeting.
Oh,
We're
April?
doing the April meeting again.
Oh, yes.
You were there for April,
Yeah.
correct?
I was April, yes.
Pretty sure. Okay, so that would be 4 then. Okay.
Right. Which is, okay, that's enough.
Creating confusion for the next
There
item.
is,
agenda item.
Will, and that's kind of just what I was going to talk about a little bit. The reason that we are okaying the April minutes is because when we did not have our May meeting, not because of a lack of quorum, but because we didn't have, there hadn't been enough staff time available to help us get what we needed to discuss ready to go. So we had canceled that meeting, and then we did sit down in June, you probably remember. Technically, in June, we were still a 9-board committee, a 9-person board, I mean. However, we did not have quorum that night because we didn't have enough members present. That, although we did have, no, trust me on this, we did not. We would have had to have 5, and Ken wasn't able to come, so we didn't end up with 5, technically.
You weren't technically a
You
member.
did. You and Vic didn't count that night. You were nothing that night.
But the board was still considered 9 members.
It was technically still 9 members when we met in
But there
June.
were open seats.
Because it had not yet been accepted by the council to reduce the size. In fact, that discussion was still in progress.
And the other members, like yourself, were not reappointed.
You and Vic were no longer members after
May 31st.
May 31st.
Correct.
And we also did not have 2 other members that had also been thanked for their service, maybe, or not, and asked to leave the board. So we didn't have adequate coverage that night.
Right.
Since then, I have been to the council twice and made a plea for the fact that we really need sustainability. Well, first I should tell you, the entire city, all the boards, commissions, everything that's not state statute-wise has been reduced to 5 board members, which includes the council members, so 4 citizens and 1 council member. Apparently, the city was more concerned about meeting quorum than they were about the people that were volunteering their time to help the city. So many boards have very few people on them now. And we technically, though, because I went to the board and pleaded our case and explained that sustainability covers everything, we really needed to have a well-rounded background of people because we need to have different areas of expertise here. And the council did approve they gave the staff direction to create a 7-person board for us. Everybody else got a 5-person board, whether they had been 7, 9, 11, 15, I don't know what before. There was an amendment to reduce us to 5 when the night it was actually voted on. but that amendment was voted down, and we do appreciate the council members who supported us for that. And so we are a 7-member committee, board, and at the moment, we have 2 vacancies on our regular board meeting, regular board members. We do have 2 alternates in place, one of which is you at the moment, Brad. I am waiting for appointments to be made again, and I haven't seen, I don't think they come out till tomorrow, do they, Lakeisha? The next, I haven't seen the next council meetings to see when there may be appointments made for the full positions. I would hope that they would plan to move the 2 alternates that are currently in place up to full board members and then look for additional alternates, because that would be the best for the city and our board so that we could serve the city the best way we can. So that's kind of where we're at, and that's why we're sitting here kind of confused about counting, and that's why we're voting on the April minutes again. I know you might have thought you were there, but we really had no June meeting at all. It just simply didn't exist because it wasn't, we didn't have quorum. So, any questions? Good. Wow, what an explanation I make, huh? Okay. Did you have anything you wanted to add?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. Keisha.
I will just add that
Yes.
although the June meeting essentially did not occur because of lack of quorum, it wasn't because of lack of effort. There was confusion with more than the Sustainability Board regarding whether June meetings were now working under the 9 or the 5 seat committees. So there were several committees that, based on the failure to reappoint those terms that were expiring so that 9 would be possible, many believed that we were now working under the 5.
So basically a lack of communication all the way around, and we weren't the only ones. Okay, thank you for that clarification. We feel so much better.
I tried.
Way back in May, which was, like after our last official meeting, I guess, come to think of it, but on May 3rd, we had, and I believe, Megan, you worked on this with Pat Hallquist, who is one of the members who's no longer on our board, in getting Brady Steigoff. I think I said that right. He's the community liaison manager for Focus on Energy, and he had done a presentation at the Oshkosh Public Library. I attended. There were maybe about 15 people in attendance. And so since it apparently wasn't a good night for a lot of people, and Megan and Pat had worked hard to get him there, and he had done this presentation, I wanted to share as much of it as I could with you today. So basically, what is Focus on Energy? You're not using the right one.
No? This
No.
is the one.
I emailed you one.
Oh, I didn't know you wanted me to open that one. Sorry.
Yeah, that's the one we're using.
I'll take it just a second.
Okay, look at that pretty whatever.
Flower? They call that a computer flower.
The
Really?
technical term.
You're just making that up.
It looks like ribbon.
I was gonna say fabric, yeah.
Yeah, looks like an EnviroCloth to me.
Well, they recently changed the computer up here maybe, so this is why it's not.
Oh, Brad, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I mean Brandon.
I just want to open up. There we go. Got it.
Deleted? Boy, do I feel special.
Really? Just scream.
But he knew exactly where it was. He didn't have to look.
There was that.
Okay.
Okay, so this is where we should be now. Leave it right there. And go to yeah. So what is Focus on Energy was one of the first things that that Brady had shared with us, because if you don't know what Focus on Energy is, the rest of the presentation wasn't going to help. Basically, Wisconsin utilities have a statewide program for energy efficiency and renewable energy, several partnering utilities. It is utility ratepayer funded, and it provides financial incentives, education, information, and other resources to encourage participation that leads to increased energy savings and reduced utility bills. And I'm sure everybody has heard of Focus on Energy. We maybe just didn't really know how to access it, or maybe we've used it. Brady talked about Focus on Energy resources that night. He talked about the website that they have available. They have a blog. They have a YouTube channel. They have a free online home assessment tool that's not as good as having a professional in-home home assessment, but it is an easy place to start. And that's found on the focusonenergy.com site. And they have a find a contractor tool, which is kind of fun because you click on a map of Wisconsin and whoo, there somebody is. So, and then he talked about Focus on Energy residential programs and incentives. And this is very much a summary of what he talked about, not the whole thing. So don't panic, it's not going to be that long. So one of the things that he talked about was insulation and air sealing incentives, and said that to consider an energy assessment, step one would be the cost. It could be $300 to $600. The benefits are calculated energy savings for your home, contractor quotes, and a higher Focus on Energy rebate. An incentive would be federal tax credits up to $150. And then step two would be insulation and air sealing, which can cost between $2,000 to $4,000 for the average home. And the benefits that it gives you are a more comfortable home, less noise, lower bills, less pollen and dust, humidity control, and fewer ice dams. And next slide, please. This is kind of a thing on the incentives. I know it's really hard to read from any distance at all, but basically it says that incentives run from $75 for duct sealing all the way up to $1,125 for income qualified people that are just sealing their house. I mean, how simple is that, you know? So I think this is a lot of information that normally you don't think about if you're a homeowner or a renter. Okay, heating and cooling equipment was another subject that he talked about. And efficient equipment typically consumes 10 to 30% less fuel, is quieter, and maintains more consistent temperatures in your house. So when you should upgrade would be when your heating and cooling equipment is unreliable, inefficient, or over 15 years old, or you've noticed excessive blower noises or sporadic pops, bangs, and rattles. I like that part. If your energy bills have gone up a lot and your home is cold and uncomfortable, well, duh, right, we should consider it then. So then you need to think about, do you need both AC and furnace, and do you want to stick with natural gas or switch to something different, another air source of some kind, another heat source of some kind? So the types of incentives for natural gas furnaces and heat pumps, and this, again, I realize is probably too small to read, but let's go on to the next one. Heat pumps, I want to talk about those because we aren't as familiar with them. Everybody knows what a furnace is. But a heat pump is like your refrigerator. I mean, that's how it works. Heat pumps can also heat and cool your home. There are different types. There's the cold climate, which we probably would want here. Air source ducted and ductless, and geothermal. And all of those can be with or without natural gas into your home. So by transferring heat rather than producing new heat, they are 2.5 to 4.5 times more efficient than other heating and cooling system options. And I think heat pumps are something that we really need to consider, and people need to be more aware of than they have been, because it's a really good resource. I know my in-laws had put in a heat pump like in 1960 in their home when they built it, and it was still, I mean, it was great. They lived there for another 30 years. So next one, water heating. First thing to do for water heating is use less of it. Just try to cut back on your hot water use. Water accounts for 18% of home energy use on average, more than a refrigerator, dishwasher, clothes washer, and dryer combined. And Focus on Energy offers incentives for 3 types of water heaters. Everything has to be Energy Star with Focus on Energy. You're familiar with that too, of course. Natural gas storage water heater, a tankless on-demand water heater, which we've had at our house. We're on our second one because they don't last forever. But we probably had the first one for 15 years or so. I'll tell you, it's supposed to help you cut back on hot water use, right? But there's one secret with it that's really great. You can take as long a shower as you want and you never ever run out of hot water. So don't tell anybody that though, because that's counterproductive. And there's also electric heat pump water heaters. So the benefits of going efficient with a natural gas storage tank water heater is that they use 9% less energy compared to standard gas storage water heaters, and the tankless water heaters can save up to 34%. They can be that much more efficient. And you get as long a shower as you want, but we didn't mention that. And the electric heat water pump water heater could save you up to $330 a year. So heat pumps are cool, are good. Other things that he talked about, and I'm skimming over these because there was too much information to transfer very well. And so these are things that you would want to look up if you're interested in this. Focus on Energy has free energy saving packs through their marketplace, which you can assess through their website, which is focusonenergy.com. There are rewards for solar use. That's the next slide. The Federal Inflation Reduction Act, or IRA, has home energy rebates, or HER, because these are both government programs, they are acronyms, that Focus on Energy can help you learn about. And this is where he spent a lot of his time sharing information that I wouldn't even hope to recap for you. It was amazing. However, not all of these plans are in place yet, but they do go on until 2031. So we've got a little time to cash in on those. And then I left Brady's contact information in case anybody is interested in reaching out to him to get more information on any of this. So, I don't remember, Megan, were you able to come that night? Didn't think so, okay. But he was, Pam was.
Yes, I thought one of us was trying.
It was a good presentation, and I'm glad that we were able to offer it to the community. So that's all that I'm going to talk about tonight. I am now going to turn everything over to Brandon for the NOMO May staff update.
Sure. This is very brief in comparison to last year, and that's, I think, a good thing. So if you remember last year's report, and something more formal may get created here eventually for council, but ultimately statistics, because the inspections department did a little bit of a different way of tracking long grass complaints this year, and complaints that were addresses that were signed up for NOMO May. So the tracking was a little bit better than last year too, or any year prior. So in May, there were 240 total complaints for long grass and weeds. And in comparison, there was 100 for June. So, significantly more in the month of May. Of those 240 complaints in May, 32 of them were registered NOMO May participants. All of those 32 that had complaints had their lawn mowed by June 5th. So there was not a single letter that was sent out. Nothing was sent to anybody that signed up for NOMO May in regards to being in violation of long grass. So that's a big positive from last year. That's it. That's my update.
Cool. Of course, we still have to work on doing a better job every year of making sure the whole community knows about this. Although maybe everybody does know and just didn't want to participate, which could be too.
No, myself and inspections, we had a meeting and we kind of discussed, like, the one thing they didn't keep track of was how many phone calls they received of that 240 that received a letter that weren't signed up, that were under the impression that they were participating in No Mow May, but didn't sign up. That's one thing they didn't track. It wasn't a lot, but they said there were, a couple handfuls or so of people who thought they were participating, but didn't sign up, didn't know they were supposed to register.
Well, they were participating, they just weren't registered.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Issue is registration.
So,
But really, 32 out of 240 is not a lot. I mean, of the ones that they were actually registered and knew they were participating,
Well-
their neighbors clearly did not know because their neighbors
Because they
chose to
filed
chose to
complaints.
tattle on them.
the other significant, I guess, data point was, remember, last year there was about 650 registered participants. This year there was only about 350 registered participants. So there was significantly less people who signed up.
I know you just said this, but I'm going to ask anyway. Are you going to assemble all of these data into a document, report?
Yeah, Kelly, the community development director, yesterday asked what my staff report was for you guys. And I said, well, it's just the notes I took from the meeting with inspections. And she said that we'll have to formulate something more formal for council. So yes, there'll be, I don't know what it will look like, but
And do
something.
we have numbers from last year that can be,
Not good numbers like this, because again, it was tracked differently. It wasn't really tracked at all. It was tracked completely differently, so it's just not going to be this. They're not
Are
going to
there-
be comparative.
Are there any data that would be comparable year over year?
Well, if we continue with this now, yes, we created a whole nother, what am I going to call it? Field, I guess, in our software that we use for permitting and code violations and licensing and for No Mow May. So when a violation or when a call would come in for a complaint during the month of May, and if they were a participant, it got earmarked as No Mow May. So then we were able to follow up with those ones that were earmarked for No Mow May to see if in fact they mowed or not at the timeline provided.
Would you,
Because again, that was kind of the big gripe, right? Is that these participants are not going to follow through with the agreement, and that they potentially will not have their grass mowed after the month of May.
yet all 32 did?
Correct.
Good for them. Would you like the help of SAB members in putting together a report about No Mow May going forward?
If one of you feels capable of doing so, yes, 100%. I mean, I could just provide the data, and it's an option, yes.
I think it's good to track it. We want to show the progress that we're making. Definitely need to figure out a marketing tool to get people to register.
We've had some informal conversations in the office too about,
If you may, Kate, can you, for the residents at home, if
Oh,
they're watching,
sure.
can you just introduce yourself and
yes,
explain who you are?
sorry, I keep forgetting that
It's
we're being
okay.
taped. So my name is Kate Qualley, I'm the Assistant Community Development Director. And so pursuant to having conversations in the office, going from having, lawn grass that's 5 or 6 inches high down to, basically scalping it is what we saw also out in inspections or just out and about. So, it's possible over the winter or with the help of the group to put together some mini fact sheets on, sustainable turf, keeping it 3 inches high during a drought, because we could get a 1-2 punch, because right after No Mow May, they're cutting it too short. They should cut it in two passes and keep it higher during a drought. Even the, various commercial and institutional sites are not doing a good job with that. So, and we'll be looking internally at the city, for that kind of thing too. But we might be able to get more mileage out of it with the next set of messaging. So that's just very informally something we chatted about.
Yeah. Kay has, again, some background knowledge on different techniques, sustainable techniques for not only lawns, but landscaping in general. So I think it should be a very useful resource going forward with this initiative and other initiatives in the sustainability front.
I really like the idea, because that's one thing I know other people have commented to me about is they get done with No Mow May and then they're like, well, now it's so hard to cut my grass, or like it's gotten so tall, even my lawnmower. I think trying to set it higher to take multiple passes, but those are good suggestions to make. How do we get that information to people effectively and timely?
So we talked about, I think this group, or maybe it was just me and Margie talking, or maybe it was me and UK, I can't remember, but like using similarly how we did with the information sheet about salting. That's a very broad way of reaching people, is that we're talking about a mailing that's.
It went out with the water bill, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
It tends to hit pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
Or like the yearly garbage mailing, right? That talks about the calendar and
could
different
be.
things that should and shouldn't be recycled.
Does that usually would come out at the beginning of the year? Is there something that could go out in spring, like with an April water bill or a March water bill?
I'm not sure. Those like large scale mailings, like the water, and I don't live in the city, so you guys will have a better maybe idea than I do, but
Come on.
I'm not aware of when certain mailings are.
A lot of people get it online now too,
Right.
so it's
Yeah, so
hard.
they don't paperless options.
Yeah, definitely posting it on the city website.
Oh yeah, of course.
And you
We
could,
could make our Facebook page a little bit more active too.
Yeah,
That
what's
might-
social media?
We could,
Send me some stuff.
We have to send it to you and you post it.
Yeah, or like if you tag the page, then it'll come up for a review and I can approve it.
and it could be the kind of thing that, besides what do you do with your turf that's gotten now so high, what's the pollinator next step? Get the 10 rock hardy, easy perennials that are native for your summer garden kind of thing. Work them in, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. It's a prairie or no mow May, or I do nothing, because the pollinators need stuff all summer long. So here's the top 10 rock stars of, the wildflower world, and throw some of those in. Where can I find them? There's things like that maybe could go with it, but
So what's great is like now that we have a staff member in community development, pending how much time she'll have to put forward to these things, like we don't even need to reach out and find someone to potentially get this content. You have some base knowledge that we could potentially use to just simply create it in-house, correct? I mean, is that?
Sure.
Yeah,
But, frame it up for the group to look at.
Right.
What of this sounds like part of the mission or whatever, if it can be useful.
yeah. So some different ideas beyond No Mow May, I guess, is what we're getting at.
Or keep it rolling, or the excitement, or.
Yeah, like all
Yeah.
summer long. Like you
Right.
start with May, then what are you doing planting for June all the way
And
to
I
fall?
feel like
Make it
we actually
direct.
saw some of that already happening in other cities when we were doing No Mow May research, weren't we? Like there was other cities that were already kind of creating this type of content saying, here's what to do after No Mow May, similarly to what you're talking about, so
Yeah, on
it's
their,
common.
on their sustainability pages on their city websites, there's just people had a ton of information on what to do
Yep.
different months, even during the fall and the winter
Yep.
and stuff.
Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, leaves is what to do with leaves is.
maybe we should create a calendar, and say, here's what we're gonna do in June, July, August,
By
for,
seasons,
yeah.
An SAB calendar.
And like
Yeah,
those
I
types,
Say be lawn care.
and those types of items are really, I mean, if we do have, it's great to plant this at this moment or this moment, and those are easy things to create content for the Facebook page.
Just following up on that, I'm supposed to be listening, not participating, sorry. But, that's an exciting concept, and it can help small business too, because so many times, if they don't have people asking for these kind of plants, they're reduced to doing, the plants that are shipped from out west that are the same plants the big box stores have. So it could help, smaller business people, nurseries, if they're gonna take plugs and just grow them out a little bit bigger, so a normal person could say, yeah, I could handle planting something like that in my yard. Then if you had a calendar, you'd know what to look for and when to do it, So, cool.
Hey, I think we're gonna have to talk more later.
I was thinking the same thing. I knew her being here today was going to be a good boost of energy for you guys.
Yeah,
It is a good boost of
thank
energy.
you.
Does anybody have anything else on No Mo May that you'd like to share, other thoughts that popped into your head? Okay, then we will move along to the Green Team staff update. Again, back to you, Brandon.
Yeah, another short update. So the informal, as we'll call it today, green team, internal staff green team did meet. Not everyone who I invited showed up, but the ones who did show up, we had good conversation. They were from transportation, facilities, streets, and they all were very much like in tune with what we're going to try to accomplish. I think over the course of time, more individuals from different departments will also need to be at the table, just so we are fully aware of what everyone is accomplishing, and to try to get to that point of determining how and when we integrate learning about sustainability into staff's onboarding, and then obviously, as we talked about, training everybody who's already an employee as well. So we haven't, I kind of see that as being something down in the future, but the people who were there, 2 of them have already gotten me the data needed to start filling out the Green Tier Legacy report. So that's good. Still waiting on the 3rd, and then like I said, other departments will still have to participate in order to get all of the data that's needed. But for the first meeting that we had and the outcome of it, it was relatively okay, I guess is how I'll put it, because something got accomplished. I have the data that I need to start the report, which is a requirement of us to be a part of the Green Tier Legacy community. So hopefully, as time goes on, some people's schedules may have conflicted with that date and time that I picked. So as we move forward, hopefully I'll just keep inviting the same people, and hopefully they can send somebody from that department and the team will grow. I still need to meet with HR again to try to figure out, and Lakeisha, you may even be helpful in this regard too. Or you actually, you're not a part, never mind, I'm bad. Because there's the DEI staff committee too, which you're not a part of that though, are you? Or you are?
I'm the council liaison for.
So there's a council liaison, but not the DEI commission. There's an internal DEI.
Oh, I don't know anything about that.
You don't know anything about that? Okay, so never mind then. Anyways, I need to kind of get some guidance from HR on how they have the internal DEI committee meetings, and how often do they meet, and just not that I need to mimic them, but just a little bit of guidance, and especially with how the first meeting went with only 3 other departments showing up, I kind of need to I need other departments to be there as well. So.
Well, Brandon, I think you did a really good job to have a first meeting and to have people, this is progress. This is more progress than we have made on a green team thing for 10 years, so.
Yeah, and I will just.
This is awesome.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And just before this meeting at 5:00, I was informed that East Central Wisconsin Plan Commission and the Department of Transportation, not the Department of Transportation, but our City of Oshkosh Transportation Department, are working together on an EV plan. So that's news. That was news to me at 5:00, but I thought it was important for all of you to be aware of that. So
we're talking EVs for the city to purchase, or charging stations
I think
available?
just a comprehensive plan to determine where it makes sense for EVs to go.
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah, that would
So,
be best.
and I don't know, the outcomes of that plan may determine that the zoning code gets altered in some fashion too. There's a lot of things that'll probably come out of that plan.
Christine.
And my plan for you guys is just to continue to update you as those meetings occur internally. I'll just, at these meetings, update you on what occurs, if that's okay.
Definitely, yeah.
To be clear, we're not participants in the city's green team. That's an internal thing. And we're an external group, basically, which is why they get paid and we don't. But, and it's okay. You deserve to be paid for your time there.
Thanks.
You couldn't afford us all anyway, so.
That's right.
That is
But on that, so actually, because kind of, I'm going to use this time to also bring up that point as well, right? So last year, right, CIP funding, we asked you asked for a sustainability manager. We're getting to that point again in time where CIP requests are coming about. So, remember, if you remember, Michael Ford said, what does SAB want? Is there anything that you want to ask council for that is something that needs to be funded? Now's the time to start thinking about what those requests are to get them funded for 2024. So do we want council to try to spend money on a comprehensive energy plan? Is there other money out there that could be matched? You know, those are all, like, now's the time to start thinking about that, and then maybe one of the agenda items for next month is
I already
CIP
wrote it down.
requests.
It's on there right now.
Yeah.
What grant money is out there, you know, that, and what the matches are, you know, what level of government is it, and what other level of government can you match it to? I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of digging that would be needed.
Because if you remember, they didn't entirely say that the sustainability manager is off the table, right? It was one of the finalists. So you know, there's going to be there's probably going to be another slew of requests just like that, just like last year, and maybe every year before that. I don't really know, but again, I'm just bringing it up. CIP time frame is coming up soon. So start thinking about it.
Okay, got it. Anything else about the green team, or? Like I said, I really am impressed that it finally got off the ground. Your job now, of course, is to make it the cool place to be so that everybody will come to each meeting.
Sure.
Pizza party.
And I think as soon as people start finding out which cool kids are coming, they're gonna wanna be on board,
You know,
so.
I got ideas, but I'm not, you know, pancake breakfast, but I'm not like the greatest pancake makers. We'll see.
Key is food.
Yeah,
That's-
food and prizes.
Okay. Then the next thing on our agenda is a review of our 23, not our 23 goals, our 2023 goals, because we only had 3, not 23.
Right.
Yeah. So the first one on here, the Sustainability Education Program for new and existing employees. If I just heard you correctly, you're thinking that will happen through the green team, or what should we be doing to enable that?
I don't know. So I looked through these the other day, and I was like, well, how, like, our initial thought process, right, in creating these was like, that would happen first. And then once everybody was spun up on sustainability, we would then be able to create this green team. So the formation of the green team, like, again, if you remember a couple months ago, I did have a meeting with like the assistant city manager and HR, and I was kind of guided to create the green team first, and then the green team will decide how a training would occur and when.
Is this an effort to slow it down, do you think? The training for the entire, I mean, it still kind of makes sense to me that you would want to train the whole city,
Right.
all the staff, give them at least a hour-long presentation on what sustainability means and how it can affect you and get their feedback. And
Right.
it seems to me that would also enable the green team to have more interest. More people would be interested in it, so.
Correct.
So if the advice you got was to do that opposite, what was the rationale? Or maybe
That
Kay
the,
can
that the
speak to that
internal,
too.
the internal green team would be that team would be they would be the deciders of how and when a training should and would occur.
So are we in charge of the what? Because they don't necessarily know about sustainability.
That's what I was
Education.
wondering.
Okay, wait, guys. I think Kay has something to add.
Well, Madam Chair, from the standpoint of individual departments, you know, and I'm new, so I don't know all the things that are going on, but like, if a Public Works Green Team member were to be providing input, they might say, well, you know, we're making everybody that drives a snowplow this year or a salt truck take a 15-minute video, or we haven't done it yet, but this is our thought that is the most sustainable thing we could do to reduce salt use on the roadways. And like the overall team might not know that, but the, you know, the members of that team, the Public Works or the road crew team would. So I guess that's how I was reading it, but
Yeah, the thought process was more along the lines of like sustainability 101. So I literally,
For new hires or something.
yeah, well, like we just recently did a DEI training where everybody, all city employees got trained on DEI. We had a speaker come in, we took an online training. It was like an hour. And so the thought process was something similar to that.
And was that initiated by the DEI committee?
I believe so. By the internal, the internal, right? So again, using that logic,
Okay.
That's
Internal
all.
committee creates the thing
right?
happens,
So,
training that happens.
which, yeah, I don't know if it one way is better than the other, but
I
that's
think
kind
they
of,
could be concurrent.
I agree.
I don't see any reason why it has to be either or, do them both.
right. So, my preliminary conversations with HR on how we determine who that person is, they were okay with what I had already accomplished by reaching out to UWO. I said, we have a college right here in town. There's professors that are, mindful of sustainability. They teach it. So,
Sustainability directors.
yeah. So there was, they were okay. My memory is telling me that they were okay with, those preliminary conversations I had with UW Oshkosh and just potentially using our local resource to either create a video for us that we use widespread, or if they come in similarly to the speaker that we had and we all, there's, the person has to speak 4 different times to get everybody trained up on the items. But those are with the first meeting, my goal was to really harp on the Green Tier Legacy reporting because I need that data to get that report done. So potentially at the next meeting, I can harp on, we need to get this internal training concept accomplished.
At least planned out, yeah.
Yeah.
Because in my opinion, when the city has a sustainability board that's been here for 15 years, and we're not taking full advantage of the university's sustainability capabilities, we're just foolish, because we need to collaborate, and it can help everybody. It's all the same city, folks. So it seems like we really should be working together more than maybe we have been. But that's just my opinion. I don't run the city. Okay, the second one was the Green Tier Legacy Report, as you just spoke of.
Yeah, it's actively kind of data gathering. This first year, they've changed everything on the report, so we're doing a baseline year. So it's a lot of data gathering to get this baseline year completed.
Was there any of the information that had been gathered for previous reports that was usable?
Can't. It all has to be fresh 2022 data.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily? Okay, so some of it can be reused, but do we have actual data points? See, like, my memory is that it doesn't
I
go,
think so, because the report is completely different
Yeah.
this year.
and like
so
the last
the
reporting we
seventh-
have is like 2019, so
It's not like the same questions this year or the same categories.
they're like relatable, but they're worded different.
This sounds very similar to the reporting that we do at the university through ASHE, and it's called their STARS report.
Yeah.
But every year or every couple of years, they update the report for greater transparency. They ask questions a little bit differently. They're going to ask for data a little bit more finer granularity. So that's, I mean, it sounds like it's probably a similar thing, but to Margie's point, I mean, like you, I often am at the helm of trying to figure out pulling all these different groups together from parking and transportation and res life and facilities.
Yeah.
So yeah, getting even 3 departments to show up and already give you data is really good. Just, yeah, keep.
Okay, that's good to hear. Okay, thanks.
No, I mean, it takes a while because people are busy and they have
Yes.
jobs and things, and that's fine, but.
Well, they may not understand what it is that they're being asked to do.
And I think across many organizations, there are pieces of information that are not effectively tracked. So then you have to
Figure out a way to
sort of
track 'em.
figure out why aren't we tracking them and how do we track them better, that kind of a thing.
True. So about this energy innovation grant that's number 3 here,
I mean, I'm hoping, you know, that we have, so here's the couple of pieces that I see going in the right direction. The city manager's goals, right, which align pretty closely with these goals. And then the fact that transportation is doing a EV plan with East Central Wisconsin Planning Commission. And that we've created a green team and have met, and hopefully that can continue. I feel like those three things are kind of showing more of a positive movement to say the city is ready. The problem with that grant is we don't know what the activities are going to be. So we can say we're ready, but are we ready for whatever the activity that's going to be presented is going to be? I don't know.
Just a thought, going back to when you mentioned East Central Regional Planning. In the past, sustainability has worked with them. We had a grant from somebody to give to them
Yeah.
in order to have them do this for us.
Right.
Might it be possible for us to apply to the city during this budget process to get the money to hire East Central to do this?
Or get an RFP if other.
To apply for the Energy Innovation Grant?
Yeah,
I would implore that same company that I found in Chicago, the nonprofit. I mean, they seem to be well aware of this grant, have filled it out for multiple communities in Wisconsin already.
but they would need to be paid.
Yeah.
And you would
They-
have
they
to
would-
gather information for them, or they gain it themselves?
Some information we have to get, which, like that A was the,
The
3A
WPS data.
was the
yeah.
data that they needed.
And is our stumbling block then that we don't have staff time available to get this kind of information?
I mean, it would have to be, it's going to take longer than 4 hours a week probably to go. The way that it's been explained to me is that there's so many meters for so many different things in the city that when we get that data, it's a matter of piecing those meters together with the buildings that they apply to. And there might be multiple different meters that for some odd reason are on different addresses, but they are all for City Hall, or, you know, I'm using that as an example. So it seems like a very complex task to accomplish. Not that it's not possible, but
Sounds like a university intern opportunity.
Can you make a request? So like what I do for the university is I just email our rep.
Yep.
Say, I mean, at the end of the year, they just send me all university accounts and what the KWH and natural gas usage was on each of those line items.
yep.
I assume that they would have that similar for municipalities. So they would have all City of Oshkosh properties that have accounts listed with them. You should be able to say at the end of the year from January 1 to
You would
December.
think, but like we looked through it recently with Public Works, and it's like some of them say City of Oshkosh, but then they have a subset category underneath them that say Pump House 3, or they don't say City of Oshkosh at all, and they just say Fire Station 16.
Sure.
So it's not the way that WPS has the account set up is not perfect. So
But that just may be them giving more detail to the meter.
We were able
What-
to get this information in the past when we
2007.
used it for the,
or 9.
right, when we
Yep.
used it for the ICLEI milestones.
Yep.
We had all that. So have they changed the way they do it, or?
I've been told that yes, that it's either two things. So the way the city gets billed changed. So now it used to all just go to like one place and then one check was sent out or in some fashion, but now City Hall gets billed, the senior center gets billed, and those departments that facilitate those facilities pay that bill out of a separate account. So somehow over the course of time, something changed. So by all means, I know the guy at WPS to get the data. His name is Jeff Winkleman or something like that, and I can email him and get the data. But then once I get it, I don't really know what to do with it.
You need assistance from
Yes, somebody,
the SAB.
whoever feels
I was going to
capable.
ask, can you accept volunteer help
Yeah.
with that, or does it have to be a city employee?
I
mean, is it like Facebook and only you can post, or
No, I
could
would
somebody
think
else see this data?
That's just kilowatt data. I mean, it's not. There's nothing I wouldn't believe that there's anything restricting the public to see that information. I can double check with the attorneys, but I don't see how that could possibly be. Ultimately, what that place in Chicago, that nonprofit that was gonna help with the grant in the past, said that what they need, ultimately what we need to give them is like a table that shows this building used this much energy this year. And again, what I've been told is that breaking down the meter readers yearly, numbers and associating them to a building is difficult.
Yeah.
It's going to be a timely process.
Let's work on it.
I mean, yeah, that'd be great. I mean, if you guys are on board with that, like if the two of you and myself, we can meet. It doesn't need to be notified. That's just a subcommittee.
An ad hoc subcommittee.
Yeah, an ad hoc, stakeholder group. So we can, if that's something you guys are interested in, we can rope Emma in if she's got time.
And what about?
No pressure.
No pressure, Emma.
What about non-board citizens? Could they participate?
I can check. I don't know the answer to that.
Because there may be some, say maybe former members that were interested in this,
Sure.
board members, or, other people in the community that would love to help work with this
Right.
and have the capabilities. We don't know if we don't ask, and if this is our stumbling block for pretty much everything, I mean, if this stuff doesn't get done, we go nowhere, right?
Yeah, well, like I said earlier, we don't know how much money that grant's gonna have this year. We don't know what activities they're gonna come up with. So the past 2 years, they did have money for the comprehensive energy studies, but you were told, Brad, right, that potentially that is going away? Or they just aren't funding them as frequently as before?
It seems to be trending that they're not funding as much of the energy
So
planning.
what I was saying earlier is that we could just ask council to fund a comprehensive energy study and have someone like that nonprofit. They'd still do the work. We would just pay them out of city money instead of a grant.
You'd have to do an RFP for, right.
Probably, yes.
I didn't hear that comment.
RFP.
Kate.
Oh, sorry, just
Like a
typically we do more or less putting it out on request for bids or
Proposal,
request
yeah.
for proposals, depending on whether
Multiple
we,
agencies would apply for that and.
and then we put a scoring grid together.
Yeah.
with Brandon.
So how it would be handled internally. but-
Yep.
Yeah.
But that's another option. So we won't know what those activities are until November.
October, they'll usually release in October, but
And then the applications are due by January. So like municipal, I don't know, it seems like a short turnaround, but
it's a very
municipalities-
short turnaround.
Other municipalities are capable of accomplishing it, so we can accomplish it as well.
I will also say, I think the EIGP, I don't want to say favors municipal applications, but I think they are seen
Favorably,
very favorably.
so that could be helpful to us if we only had the info.
And there could be additional funding available through other incentive streams like the IRA, where there's a lot more municipal community funding coming
It's
in.
kind of killing me that we don't have the capability apparently of applying for more from the IRA, because that's such a one-time thing and it's gonna all expire before we get all the data, all the little duckies in a row. And that's very frustrating. So anything that we can do to help facilitate making any of this
Yeah.
happen more quickly,
I will.
I think we're probably all on board.
I will send the email to the contact at WPS, and I will CC Brad on there. So you're at least in the, and you too, Megan. And that way, once it comes in, the last time I had to look at that data, he had to give me a special login to go to WPS, and then I had to like go to the secure login and download it.
How do we apply to the city for more staff time? Because that seems to be another stumbling block. Is that something we should be asking for in the CIP? If they're not going to give us or aren't ready yet for a sustainability director, then give us 20 more hours of staff time or whatever. Maybe that's less expensive for the city and they'd be more willing to do that. I don't know. It wouldn't produce the same results.
It's ultimately another staff person though, because we're already,
Maxed.
somehow that time has to go somewhere to somebody that's not accomplishing the other tasks, so.
Just trying to save the world here before it's gone.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
Just that.
yeah.
So I have a question for the group because I'm new. So Wisconsin, the state of Wisconsin does not have a either Green Step Cities program or Green Corps member program.
Yeah,
Or do we?
I don't know what those are, but I'm assuming it sounds similar to the Green Tier Legacy Communities program.
Okay, because municipalities and, counties could get a Green Corps member for an 11-month internship and not pay them anything. And instead of, the students that we would have from the universities and the colleges are there for a semester, which is great, but about the time they're getting up to speed to help, actually, they're leaving. So an 11-month internship that you've got grant money for was pretty sweet. So it could be basically working on stormwater abatement and clear water, get your septic or get your stormwater out of your septic system or your
Vice versa.
yeah, vice versa. And working on a project like this is exactly one of the buckets that something like that could work on. But, you'd have to find out where that funding's coming from. I thought Green Corps was an AmeriCorps US program.
Yeah, that rings a bell.
Yeah. So that was one of the ways that we got around the, painful benefits for somebody. And we tried to make sure that they always had a really great experience because we were feeling pretty lucky when we would apply and competitively get someone that could help us that was a postgraduate of a university. And so, they had to also apply to be a Green Corps member, but we applied to get them. So once we got matched up, everybody was pretty excited to get a major chunk of work done. So I don't know if that is anything that can be explored if there's not that existing structure in the state, but.
Has anybody heard of that before? I mean, you've heard of Green Corps?
By your note, put Conservation Job Board, and we should see if there's
Okay.
examples.
The Conservation Corps is another group related to that.
Similar
Okay.
existing.
So we had Conservation Corps members out in the forested areas ripping out green barberry and roundleaf bittersweet. And again, had them for a period of time kind of thing. I mean, I don't know if that could be investigated, but it was one way that I've seen help out kind of to sustainability folks.
I'll look into it.
Another thing that we've had, Kay, for years and years off and on is for 3 months or so, we have CAP students that are just getting ready to graduate that will work on a project for us. And that's how when Stephen was here, who was Brandon before Brandon was here, he was our liaison, and he worked with one of the professors in his class 3 or 4 different times to have them study one of the green tier. I mean, the green tier is a lot of stuff, but they take just one section of it and really work on that. And all of that is up on our sustainability website, I believe. Yeah, like this. Yeah. So we've got data from these years on all these things,
A bunch of good reports.
but nothing happens with it then, Because it's, okay, that was nice, but, that's as far as it went. And that's,
Can I make a suggestion?
please do.
Can the new internal green team circle back through the final projects and look for potential
Yeah.
ideas or infusions of things?
Yeah, I mean, that was
ideas.
definitely, something that was already discussed, so that'll, again, there's like, in my head, there's like a couple things that I really want to get accomplished first, but eventually, yes, as this team grows into something, I view this as a very valuable resource
It is.
for
And have-
what the city can do. for
Have
sure.
either of you been contacted by Jim yet?
Not yet.
Okay. I'm seeing him on the 11th. And
Would you check?
well, he reached
Or-
out to me, and I think he's still trying to figure out, but
What he's doing?
I think he was leaning toward working with the city again this fall.
Okay,
So-
that would be great.
Yeah.
We appreciate that very much, and
Yeah.
it is helpful.
Yeah, it looks like some exciting projects were done.
Yeah. Yeah, we're really good at getting all this information, we just don't put it in practice. Okay, so, anything else on our discussion on the review of the 2023 goals? Kind of beat it to death, didn't we? So, agenda items for future meetings, Brandon had down green team, definitely. Kind of a monthly report, I can sort of see on that, right, Brandon?
Yeah, I don't know if we'll meet monthly, but I think we should just probably keep it on there, and then if it ends up happening, I can report, and if not, I can just say, no, no meeting occurred.
No quorum.
Yeah, or other-
You'll have to reduce the size of that. And then goals, obviously, we want to keep those on. We need to discuss what we want to do about applying to the city for funding for what? Whether it's a sustainability director again, which I personally think is what we should do, given the timing here. Or if we want to ask for smaller bites. Maybe put in 6 different requests and see if anything is viable. I see our council member going, oh, thanks, Margie.
No, I agree with you.
Can't hurt. Don't ask, you don't get.
For all the walk away with.
Does anybody else have anything they'd like to put on the agenda in the future?
A item I will look into is this talk of the other green core at the Midwest Renewable Energy Fair. I attended a session, and it seemed like this was again kind of a green communities consortium. I guess Appleton just joined, but there were representatives from Stevens Point and 2 other municipalities just talking about sustainability initiatives that they had done in their city. And so I was thinking what might be a good idea is to maybe invite them and have them present to us. One, to talk about what kind of it would mean to be a member of this group. But 2, and I think it was the mayor of Stevens Point, talked about some very, very, very interesting projects that they were doing in terms of energy efficiency, water efficiency, doing really cool things with their wastewater, water reclamation, just some really interesting stuff. So maybe just like a community to learn from.
Sounds excellent.
I like the idea.
Yeah.
Might be a good, maybe like a fall, if we need a meeting that's a bit more presentation focused.
A workshop.
September meeting.
What was the
Really,
name
we
of
have
that?
a pres-
I can't remember. I have
Okay.
the information written down somewhere, but I will reach out to them, and then maybe Brandon, I'll kind of funnel them through you first.
Yeah, just, again, something that's gonna go on the agenda, just try to get it to me, like, a week and a half prior to the meeting, so I can,
Right. Well, I think what I'll do is I'll touch base with you first, but then also we'll have to plan probably a month or 2 out
Yeah.
to meet their schedules and that kind of thing.
Okay, anything else anybody has? All right, then our next meeting will be on Monday, August 7th. We'll be back to Mondays because August isn't a special month. And I would like to hear somebody make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Thanks, guys.